Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of I Heart Doha podcast coming live on this Saturday afternoon. How's everyone doing? We have someone special in the office today. We're going to do it a bit differently, and I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, but in a kind of quirky way.
Oh, okay.
We've done it
We'll
before,
try it.
by the way. We've done it before. Jenny actually came to one of my workshops about a few months ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Okay. So the idea is, instead of names, okay, my name is, I'm from, we're going to do it by attributes, okay? So just to give you a bit of, a warm-up. So I'm a risk taker, I'm spontaneous, I love the rain, and I love animals, and I'm a recovering people pleaser. Okay, so I'm working on my assertiveness. That's a little bit about me. Take it away.
I'm definitely working on the people pleasing. I love dogs. I love all small, cute animals. I love coffee. It gets me through the day. My favourite food is carbonara. And I love watching Friends reruns.
Oh, I do as well.
Guilty pleasure.
So this is Jenny, by the way, and we're going to do it the traditional way. How would you introduce yourself usually?
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm 26 years old. I'm from London, and I'm an international model.
Very good. So Jenny has just done something a bit different. What was the difference between, in your opinion, how you introduced yourself with the attributes and then just the regular traditional way?
I feel like when you introduce yourself with attributes, it gives more connection to people. They learn a bit more about you. They understand more about you as well. And also it makes you a little bit vulnerable by sharing that connection.
So what's that like to be vulnerable, even though...
Do you know what? It's one of those things, it's quite uncomfortable the first time you do it. But actually, it's fine.
Yeah.
I quite like it.
Okay, I like it too, because then it gives me insight into your personality immediately, rather than just Jenny from London, international model. Because so many of us can easily put stereotypes or attach assumptions to her as a person. Exactly. And it happens to me all the time. That's why I always start my workshops with, who are you really? Be vulnerable. Take a risk, and let's see, because people in the room then can get to know Jenny for who she really is, even in a short period of time. So she's a dog lover, so everyone at home watching might be like, oh yeah, me too. She's already a bit, friendly.
Exactly. Well, actually, when I was younger, I didn't actually tell people I was a model when I first met them, because I used to get quite embarrassed because of the stereotypes they'd put onto that. And they'd immediately assume that you're vapid or not very intelligent, or that you dropped out of uni for some bizarre reason.
Okay, I'd love to hear more about that. Can you say more about stereotypes?
Oh my gosh, so many stereotypes. The main one, like I said, being that people assume you're vapid, or they assume you don't get out of bed for less than £10,000 a day. That was another interesting one. I was like, I wish that was the case. People tend to be I feel like there's quite a lot of negativity actually towards fashion. I think people think that modelling is a job that you should feel privileged to have, and it is a wonderful job, but there's also a lot of downsides to it, and there's a lot of exploitation and abuse and other things that happen in the industry that people don't see, and they see it as being glamorous, and
that you're told you're pretty all the time.
Exactly, and actually the opposite's true. You're told all your flaws all the time. It's like you can't escape them.
So for those of you watching live or watching at home, we'd love to have Jenny educate all of us, including myself. What is it really like? Let's start with the positives, because let's be upbeat. What is amazing? What do you love about your job the most?
Honestly, I love meeting new people every day. So you get to set and there are like 10 to 20 people on set.
With different talents.
Completely different talents, different backgrounds, from different places. It's so nice to meet people, and you all connect, and you're all working on one creative vision together. And you might only be together for that day, but you remember them and you connect with them, then you have that shared work together, which I really love.
And then you get to learn something new every day as well, right?
Exactly. And then also you meet people that way, and you become so close in a day that then you make friends for life as well. So actually some of my closest friends are makeup artists that I work with, and stylists from previous shoots. Okay, do you have any interesting, funny stories about someone that you've met just in like an hour or something, and you're like best buddies forever? Yeah, it's actually my friend Sinead, if she's watching this, so she's a makeup artist in London, and we met on a beach photo shoot. became pretty much best friends in a day. And when I went back to London, I actually ended up living with her and renting a room in her flat in Hackney.
Amazing.
And staying with her. So it was weird. So we've gone from being just like friends that met on a shoot to living together.
That's so amazing, and I can definitely resonate, because I remember when I first moved to Qatar, I didn't know anyone, and I thought, right, I need to get a hobby just to keep myself occupied. And I went to the Shagab, the equestrian centre.
Oh, yeah.
And I met one of my best friends until today there on a horse, and she was like, I don't know, Russian speaking, and then I was like, you kick off with assumptions as usual.
Yeah.
She assumed that because I'm wearing a veil that I'm from, Qatari or something, and I just corrected her and said, no, I'm actually from the UK. And then I assumed that because she was talking Russian that she's Russian, and she's like, no, actually I'm from Kazakhstan. So that was fresh news to me, in that I was learning as I was going along and made a friend for life that is from a country I never thought that I would.
Yeah, I love coincidences like that as well. You never know when you're going to meet someone or how
amazing.
Important they're going to be.
Yeah. So Sinead, it's Sinead, right?
Yes, it
Shout
is.
out to Sinead if she's watching. And shout out to Ainur if she's watching, my Kazakhstani friend for life. So those are the positives, that what you love about your job.
Yeah.
What is something that the layman's or the people that don't really know much about modelling, what is something that the regular people watching this wouldn't know that you go through?
I think it's starting to become more sort of widely known just through, TED Talks and social media and people speaking out about it. But models are actually very insecure people, and they're put down a lot. I think people always assume that models are full of confidence and that they, love themselves, love their body, think that they're the bee's knees. And actually the reality is, our flaws are pointed out to us on a daily basis.
Your flaws?
Yeah.
Okay, so things like what? They'll actually say, hey, you
need to lose weight.
They actually say that to you?
Yeah,
explicitly.
so they're quite careful with the wording sometimes. So they'll say more, you need to tone up.
You need to tone up, okay.
Or things like that. They won't put you forward for jobs for a certain period of time until you meet certain measurements.
So they'll say there's a job in the pipeline, but
sometimes not even that. They'll just say, we're taking you off all castings and jobs until you get to these measurements. We're not going to put you forward for anything. And
so
obviously if you're a
under
full-time
pressure.
model,
Wow.
you're not going to pay your bills until you lose that weight. So models are pushed to do things that they shouldn't necessarily do. So whether that's abusing medications or making themselves sick or skipping meals and various things. And it's not just weight, it's also skin. It's telling models they have to go get their teeth fixed. It's telling them they have to fix their hair. So you don't really have control over your own image sometimes.
And what's that like, to have this lack of control over your own image?
For me personally, I started modelling quite late, so I didn't start till I was 19.
Okay.
And I've kind of I never thought it was going to be my full-time career. I saw it as more of a hobby that then developed into a career. So I've sort of always had control over what I've done. So I had pink hair for a while and stuff as well.
So when you had pink hair, you were taking control of your image.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't want to book you, how was your reaction to that?
It was more just, my look doesn't fit what they want right now. I didn't take it as a personal attack.
Yeah, that's good.
But I think when you've been modelling since you're 14 and it's all you know, and particularly when you're younger and you are 14, you're going through, puberty and all those changes, having someone point out your flaws to you all the time.
And so young.
Exactly. And it becomes how you define yourself and how you think of yourself as a person becomes that image.
That is
and it's quite hard.
It is hard, and I think it's quite deep for all of those who have teenagers out there, or you're a teenager yourself. What advice would you give the youth right now in terms of always trying to live up to this standard of perfect body image, or whether they're a model or not?
See, in my view, I'd be like, just don't do it, because it sounds cliche, but everyone's born perfect. You're born as you are.
Awesome.
If you're well and healthy and your body functions well, just be grateful for that and enjoy it and, look after it and be healthy. But don't kind of bully yourself. It feels like a form of self-battery in a way, and people spend hours scrolling through social media, comparing constantly and just beating themselves up internally.
Okay.
And I don't think that it's healthy.
Yeah, even psychological health, it can definitely affect it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for example, if you were, you said that you started modelling late, so so we don't know about the industry. So 19 is considered late for a model.
Very late, So most models start around 14 to 16.
Right.
So I was scouted by Models 1 when I was 16.
Okay.
But my parents were like, no, stay in school, don't do it. So I didn't follow it up till I was at university.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. And was that a good choice? Do you?
I think it was actually a really good choice for me personally.
Okay.
I mean, obviously now because I do it full time, it would have been great if I'd modelled younger, because I would have had more experience and, you know, more people that I could have worked with during that time. But I think it was important for me to focus on my education, and I've got that to fall back on now. It's not like modelling's my only route.
That's awesome, because again, one of the stereotypes that Jenny mentioned was that people think that you drop out of uni.
Yeah, or that you drop out of school.
Can you paint the picture of that in more detail?
Yeah, just whenever I meet people, and the thing is, it's not even uncommon for models to have university degrees and to have an education, but there was a period of time, around the time when I first got scouted actually, that models were encouraged to drop out of school or to do it full time and to travel the world. And I think that people now just assume that when you finish school, you go and do this full time, almost like a gap year, and then you just never go back to education. Or if you start at uni and you're doing well, that you would just drop out and do it full time.
So then that's not the case.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of times models, I mean, you can earn more modelling than you could in a graduate degree.
Okay, and that's why it's attractive to some people to take up the career of modelling.
Yeah, when you leave uni, you know, a graduate entry-level job, you might get like 20,000 a year. You could earn more than that in a few months of modelling, potentially, depending what jobs you got.
So that's awesome. That's another pro that, you know, you mentioned that you love your job because you like meeting new people, but also from a lucrative perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that like for you to be a model?
Yeah, in London it's good. The rates of pay are much higher than they are here.
Okay.
Here it's about a third of what I get paid in the UK. So it's quite a lot less. But yeah, it's just more that the jobs are very sporadic now because the market's so saturated. There are so many models. There are lots of, you know, Instagram models and freelancers that are willing to undercut agencies and stuff. So
and maybe be paid lower? Is that?
Yeah, and sometimes for free. A lot of influencers and sort of social media models will say, send us the products and we'll shoot them for free.
Because it helps us on our Instagram and getting boosted. Okay, so they're getting something out of it, but then I'd say you're then not being booked as much.
Yeah, it's sort of limiting the value of an actual model.
Real model.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're actually, in a way, it's kind of taking the value away from someone who's to be paid for their profession.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, it's quite interesting how everything's changing through social media.
I remember, so Jenny and I actually met a few months ago. I do free workshops every Tuesday on personal development topics, and I believe the one you came to was about assertiveness, or was it about anxiety?
It was assertiveness.
Assertiveness, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what is it that made you interested in coming to that particular workshop?
I think it's just something I always struggled with, and I've always been a bit of a people pleaser.
Okay, so we're in the same boat there.
Yeah. One of the things my dad always said to me was that he really hoped that I became more stubborn and less sort of easygoing with the flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to work on that a bit for me, but I think also in modelling it's really important to make sure you have a voice and to be able to stand up and say, yes, I will do this, no, I won't do that, and draw your own boundaries.
Yes.
I think the hardest part when you start so young is having those boundaries clear for you on what you will and you won't do, because often, you know, you'll be working with a high profile photographer and they'll almost take advantage of that because they know they can launch your career overnight if they choose to shoot with you or not.
And not only that, they can feel this energy of, oh, it's okay, I'll do that, or it's okay. They can feel it. So if something comes off of the person that, oh, I'm okay with everything, when actually deep down inside you're not.
Exactly. Well, it's like with this whole Me Too movement that's going on at the moment, and so many male models have spoken out about exploitation that they felt. And there was one male model who was shooting with quite a well-known photographer, and he basically said, come for dinner with me tonight, stay with me tonight, and I'll launch your career. If not, I'll make sure that your career's like buried.
Wow.
And that's it.
So that's blackmail as well. Exploitation, blackmail. And
I mean, that's not as common. Yeah, I haven't experienced any exploitation like that myself, but I'm very lucky. Good. Touch wood.
But that's probably because you set your boundaries.
Yeah, I think starting later as well has helped me to develop that because I'm not as vulnerable.
I think that's
I kind
very
of know
important.
myself more.
I think that's very important for people who are watching to know, especially those who are interested in taking a career in modelling, have healthy boundaries. And this leads me to my next subject. I took your permission to play this game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So So I did a workshop last week on healthy boundaries. Okay, so I have some questions here for Jenny.
What have I got myself into?
No, it's not questions. It's just all you have to do is say yes or no to the following. Okay, and I'll say the same. And everyone at home, you do the same, even if it's in your head or whatever. Okay. So if you think that this quote is you, say yes, and if you don't think it's you, say no.
Okay.
So I read it out.
Okay. I adjust my life to suit others' needs. Yes, I do. I actually do. Yeah.
I adjust my life to suit others' needs. What about you guys? I adjust my life to suit others' needs. I'm working on it. I used to, but now less and less according to what I can and I can't do. I'm trying to be more assertive.
I do, definitely. Particularly around my family. Like, if they need me, I'm there.
Okay, but that's different because that might be a value. But what about things that you just absolutely don't want to do?
Do you know what? I'm getting better at it.
Okay.
I think. I definitely used to be a big people pleaser.
Yeah.
Particularly with friends and stuff. If ever they wanted to do things,
even though you don't want to.
I'd just go anyway.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, the next one.
Okay. I let others define me and my emotions, i.e. you made me feel so guilty because of what you said. Yeah, I tend to often when people do things that hurt me or trigger me, I do get really upset. But I also tend to get over things relatively quickly, so within a day or so.
So you're quite resilient.
Yeah, but I also tend to think, well, I'm in control of my own emotions.
So it's up to me.
Am I going to let them hurt me? And also I try to think of it, when someone hurts you, as a projection of them. And it's more like they're projecting their stuff onto me about how they feel about themselves. And it sounds awful, but I try to spin it around and almost feel sorry for them.
I do.
So I'm so sorry you feel that way about yourself. Okay.
Exactly. So it's more their problem than your problem.
Yeah,
so guys,
as long as I haven't actually done anything to hurt anyone.
To hurt them. Okay, so guys, that one was, I let others define me and my emotions. So that's something like, for example, someone else got upset that I made them cry. Technically speaking, you don't make anyone cry, because if you take accountability for your own actions, you actually do that to yourself.
Yeah.
More project, unless you.
And it's also their triggers that you would have touched to make them get emotional
internally rather than your own. So it's a good one to think about, guys. Okay, so how about this one?
Okay, I'm enjoying this game. I avoid close relationships with the fear of being hurt. Do you know what? I don't avoid close relationships, but I've really struggled with trust.
Trust issues.
A little bit. Yeah, I think that's just something that kind of comes with any relationship. Everyone gets a bit nervous about, what people's true agendas are and if you can really trust someone.
Okay.
But I think it's, if you trust yourself to know that you'll be fine regardless of if the relationships work or not, then it's more about having trust in yourself that you'll be okay either way,
regardless of what happens. Okay, so for me, what about you guys at home? I avoid close relationships with the fear of being hurt. Okay, there's some questions. Let's have a look. Okay.
Question time.
Right, questions, guys. You guys are asking questions. Let's have a look so we can answer some. It's just said that I've joined. Okay, I don't see anything right now. Okay, when it comes up, we'll answer them, inshallah. Okay, so the next one.
Oh gosh, okay. I smother the other person with my care and love. Yes, I do. Absolutely. I'm a big gift giver. Gift giver. I love it. Yeah, and it makes me feel good to give gifts to the other person.
Okay.
But I remember once my friend saying to me, it actually makes me feel bad that you buy me stuff all the time and give me, even if it's not necessarily bought, things that I make for people.
What about even if it's your time and your beautiful energy? Or just going over and beyond what?
I think it's also to do with other people's boundaries as well, because sometimes she described it to me as it made her feel bad because she couldn't reciprocate the same because she didn't have the time and energy. So while it's nice to do and it makes you feel good to do it, you also have to respect how it makes the other person.
That's so interesting because most of the time what we tend to do is, if I can give, I'll give my all.
Exactly.
We don't all. It's like, let's say you can afford an expensive gift and you're not doing it for any reason. You don't even want to get anything in return.
Yeah.
But you're also making the other person potentially feel bad
because they can't reciprocate something of the same or equal value.
Okay, that's interesting. So that one, guys, was I smother the other person with my care and love. Okay, and then the last one.
Okay, I stay in relationships that were over a long time ago. Or go back to the same old relationships. Yeah, I'm a bit guilty of this one. I stayed in a relationship for 4 years that I probably should not have been in for more than 2 years.
Okay, but so it was already over.
Yeah, and do you know what? It was more a familiar thing, and I was scared of
comfort zone.
Yeah, it was definitely a comfort zone and a fear of change, I think, at the time. And there were quite a lot of big changes happening in my life at that time. So I was a bit like, oh my God, there's too much going on. I can't cope with it.
Wow. Okay, so who of you at home would agree to, I stay in relationships that were over a long time ago, or go back to the same old relationships? That doesn't have to be guy and girl, right? That can even be friendships, platonic friendships as well.
Particularly toxic relationships as well, like toxic friendships that are quite draining on you as well. It's hard often to say no to people.
Right.
And if people need you, you keep going back.
So that little game, guys, that was an example of symptoms that if you've said yes to them or most of them, you've got issues with your boundaries, okay? So don't worry, this is just fun because it's awareness. It's just bringing more awareness to it. So someone said here, I like to receive gifts and also give to only a few. Okay, that's interesting. That's from Shaku Malik. I like to give gifts, not to have ones. That's interesting to know. That's from Folat Mendo, am I saying it correctly? So this person likes to give gifts but doesn't want to receive any.
I'm the same with that, actually. I always feel a bit awkward when people give me gifts, particularly if it's a surprise gift and I haven't got them anything. I'm then like, oh my God, what do I have that I can give you?
Right, okay.
So yeah, it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, I think, sometimes.
Well, it depends, because sometimes if there's a really close relationship, you can buy someone anything and you don't expect. There are no, there are no niceties or majamalat. In Arabic we say majamalat, like you just, for the sake of it, you give someone a compliment.
Yeah.
So, but in real relationships, you don't have to worry. You know, it's like when you turn up to someone's house in your pajamas or you're wearing pajamas, you know that the friendship is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone says, stayed in a relationship with overly attached person. Does that mean that you were overly attached or they were overly attached? Just curious about that one. So anyway, if there are more questions, guys, please keep them coming. We'd be happy to talk about them. So how did you feel? What was that like for you to just...
Do you know what? It's, again, like being quite vulnerable and like opening myself up to you guys. Do you know what? It's important, though, to think about that stuff, actually, and to question it and make yourself aware of it, because I think thinking about that in the way that I am with people, actually, I probably do need to focus more of my energy on myself rather than on other people,
because we always say, when you
even if it's a positive energy,
positive things, even if you focus on yourself, we call it self-care, self-love, right? You can give more when you're full, emotionally and even physically. If you're like physically tired, it's hard to then go and help people in need,
and then as well you're putting a slightly negative tone on helping those people, and you might end up resenting giving that help, which is not a good place to be in as well.
So resentment when the other person doesn't even know how you feel can be quite dangerous. And then is there anything out there, this other one as well, right? We're going back to stereotypes, guys, because we find this really interesting. So I did some market research about just before we had Jenny on the show, and it was what some of you think models can do easily. So for example, this one.
What's this one?
Here.
Face and deny male advances easily. Do you know what? You won't believe this. I don't get any male advances, ever. So I'm not kidding, honestly. Even when I was at university...
Nobody comes to you to flirt with you? No men?
I tend to get ignored.
Wow.
I think I've had a guy ask my number in a nightclub once, and that was to take me on a date the next day. That was not even interested in like getting to know me there or anything.
So there you go, guys.
I tend to get avoided.
You get avoided?
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's...
It might be intimidation.
Resting grumpy face. But.
Oh, resting gum. It might be intimidation. What do you guys think? So here you have it. You've got an international model here from the UK who's saying that not only does she not face and deny male advances, she doesn't get any.
I really don't get them, honestly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how about, so apparently this is another one. People think that models are good at this.
A pro at keeping poker face despite having challenges in life. I can't even keep poker face at a job. Honestly, if you see behind the scenes videos, I'm always smiling, laughing, chatting.
But is that the real you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Definitely.
That's good.
I think keeping poker face, I mean, I don't think anyone is able to really do that when they have challenges in life. It's hard, particularly maybe in public, it's easier to keep yourself together, but definitely at home, everyone breaks down and has
when they have
times where they struggle. I don't think that that's necessarily anything for modelling. I actually think probably CEOs and heads of businesses and managers, when you have to deal with difficult situations with staff, are probably better at having poker face.
Yeah.
then
because
I
they have
would
to turn up to the job professional
Yeah.
and then deal with lots of people that come to them.
Especially I imagine actually people who work in HR as well, where they have to deal with difficult situations in businesses and people who come to them who are emotional or been through something difficult.
Or even recruiting.
Trying to not emotionally attach your stuff to that as well.
Absolutely.
It's probably quite difficult.
Someone saying, hi, Jenny.
Hi.
And someone says, I doubt it. Sorry, I don't know what I doubt it was to. Was that to the men thing?
I genuinely don't get mail advances, but thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
So we're just doing this because you guys at home, I think some of us, even me, didn't know this side of the modelling agency, the modelling career. So what other stuff can you educate us, me personally, and the people at home, and that we don't know, that we wouldn't know about the modelling scene?
Oh my gosh. So in a lot of cases, the agency kind of rules your whole life. So I'm quite lucky in that my agency in London is amazing and I don't actually have a written contract with them. So that way it means I can leave anytime and they can also get rid of me anytime. So it's an equal kind of partnership. But a lot of agencies make you sign in that say, once you've terminated your contract with them, you can't work for a year. If you do, they take 10% commission of anything you earn. They also put you up in model apartments where they charge you much more than you should be charged for that rate.
Wait, they put you up. They put you in a
model apartment,
which means living.
So it's basically a house or a property that the agency owns or rents, and they have other models in there as well. And quite often you're sharing a room, or you might be in bunk beds, but you're paying over £1,000 a month.
When you could go and get your own space, but
yeah,
they don't
you can rent your
you
own double room in Clapham.
But you don't have the.
I mean, it tends to be for the international models that come over, so I'm lucky because obviously I'm based in the UK,
Okay.
I've got a place to go, but a lot of international models are brought over. It's not just in the UK, other countries as well, where you get put in model apartments and they aren't the nicest of places and they charge you a lot. Quite often agencies also take your passport off you when you arrive, so you can't leave the country. And then they
is that legal to take someone's passport?
So it doesn't happen as much in the UK now, but it does still happen. But it mainly happens in Asia, particularly Asian markets.
Okay.
And they also write you contracts. They say they'll pay for you to come over, but you have to earn £75,000
in order to cover that
in the 3 months.
Wow.
And they will keep
like a prerequisite.
And they'll keep you in that country until you earn that.
Wow.
And the whole time, if you aren't earning, the model agency is charging you rent, charging you like pocket money, anything you need, phone costs, costs of Ubers and driving around. So you're constantly getting into debt as well. And the agency can rack up a lot of debt in your name.
Wow.
So including...
And you can only... Go ahead.
Including portfolio stuff. So they might say, you need to do this shoot with this photographer and charge like £400, and that will come up on your expenses that you have to pay for.
And it will come out of your salary, so to speak,
so quite often, girls go thinking, I'm on this, £10,000 contract, I'm going to make all this money, and they come home with like less than £1,000, and they've been away for months.
I mean, that's really good to know, because for those of you out there that think it's super glamorous, you're hearing it right here. You're hearing it from a real model, guys. Someone for an international model. Jenny, thank you for all this education. We're also curious to know, Qatar. What about Qatar?
I love Qatar.
Tell us more.
Do you know what? It was strange. I never saw myself modelling in Qatar at all. I never really knew there was an industry here. I didn't really know much about it. So I actually came on holiday to visit my friends who are based here who don't work in fashion. And then I just reached out to Trinity, which is one of the biggest agencies here, and chatted with them, and they got me a business visa. So I came over. I was meant to stay for 2 weeks, and then I fell in love with it and stayed for 2 months, and now I'm back again.
Okay. So how often are you here? Is it like you're based in London, but you work here often?
Yeah, so I'm still based in the UK, but I come here for probably, less than 6 months of the year, but I come at like 2-month intervals.
Okay.
But yeah, I absolutely love it.
Okay.
It's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
So
fun.
how would you compare the industries, for example, modelling in the UK and modelling here? What's the key differences or values that you notice? Just curious.
Definitely, I would say models are treated a lot better here than in the UK.
That's good to know.
Even just basic level of the fact that we're provided food at jobs.
Wow.
In London, you don't necessarily get provided with lunch.
It's your
or
problem
anything.
if you don't get to eat, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I still, even now, my book was laughing at me the other day because I have cereal bars always in my handbag.
Because you know that you might go hungry.
Yeah, I've got one right now, actually. Yeah, I take them everywhere with me just in case, because you never know if you're going to get fed or not. And it's also that I feel like because it's such a new industry here and it's still growing and developing, they can kind of learn from the mistakes of other markets.
I like that.
So they're more inclusive of size and stuff, and then
We paused just to
Yeah.
turn off the camera and turn it back on again. So
Yeah, they're more
continue.
inclusive of sizing, and just in general, they just look after the models so much better. So they have reps that come onto set to check that the models are okay, to check that the clients are happy,
Okay,
to
good.
protect the model's welfare.
Yeah.
And that's unheard of. You never get that in the UK unless you're
Never.
an underage model.
So you'll never get a rep in the UK if you're a model over 18, is that right?
Over 16.
Over 16.
Yeah.
So 16 and below, you'll never get a rep come and check you out on stage.
You might do occasionally, but only if you're like very new,
Okay.
and just to help you get around. But normally you could take a parent or a chaperone with you
Okay.
to shoots. But when you're over 16, you don't get that.
So in the UK, it's very hands-off, whereas here it's very hands-on. Anything
Yeah.
you need, make sure that you're fed. Have you been fed and watered?
Exactly.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
There's a question here. A quick question. Do models cheat in their profession, like taking drugs for your health or pay money to get a role?
Pay money to get around. I don't know about that. You always hear stories about people sort of, having inappropriate relationships with casting directors to try and get ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, or with photographers as well to kind of launch their careers. In terms of medications, I haven't personally. I'm quite a curvy model and I use that as a selling point. But a lot of girls do use, whether it's abusing laxatives or amphetamines as well, like ADHD medications to help, because it suppresses your appetite.
So for that reason, not for concentration.
But
Okay.
it's very bad. Like, don't do that. A lot of girls end up having like pancreatitis, lots of problems from abusing those medications.
Wow.
In general, having a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle is definitely the best way to go, because you want to have energy as well. On set, you might be jumping and running around. I've had shoots before where I've had to be jumping on a trampoline in high heels all day. So you have to have so much energy.
What was that like, jumping in high heels?
Oh my God, the heel went through the trampoline at one point. It was not good. But, you need to be eating a good diet to be able to keep going. Basically, you can't not eat, really.
Good. So you have to stay fit, you have to stay active, eat well, don't take drugs.
Yeah, avoid drugs, guys. Drugs are bad.
Also, we would love to know your opinion. I remember you mentioned before that you're quite an advocate for younger models or non-model, people who aren't models, about body image and taking care of that. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, so in 2016, a group of model friends of mine and myself we all are part of Equity, which is like a model trade union in the UK. And we went to Parliament to have a round table with Caroline Dinenage, who's one of the MPs for welfare, to talk about model rights, because actually in the UK we don't get a minimum wage, we have no protection, there's no kind of sick pay. And actually a lot of the treatment of models comes under the human trafficking laws in terms of having your passports taken away and other things.
Because it's technically illegal.
Yeah, exactly. And about sort of body image and not having food provided or lunch breaks and things like that. So we've done quite a lot with talking to them. And my friend Leanne's actually writing a book on model exploitation. She's written a manifesto to try and petition to government for change.
Well, we would love to hear about. Are you allowed to mention that book, or we have to wait until it's official?
It's officially out in February.
Okay.
But I can ask her
Then you
to give me more information.
You keep us posted so that we can.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. It's sort of a A to Z manifesto that covers all the different areas of modelling, about how government can implement changes in legislation to try and protect models, in particular with licensing, because a lot of model agencies aren't actually licensed as well.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know, because then you're protected if you're following with a modelling agency that's licensed.
Well, I would say anyone who's looking to join a modelling agency, always check if they're licensed first.
Before
and also,
you bother. Right.
Yeah, in the UK in particular, there's the AMA, which is a list of the Models Association.
Standards, yeah.
And it's got all of the ones that's approved, or the British Fashion Council's really good as well. And models.com as well has got loads of the agencies all around the world and which ones are legitimate, because there are so many scams out there that try to scam you out of money to pay for portfolios and stuff that aren't going to go anywhere.
They're not going to get through anyway, so there's no point. That's good. We're so happy to hear about those things, because we don't. I mean, me personally, I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that there's definitely depth to anyone, regardless of whether I'm a model or not. So, for example, you are an individual who has your own challenges, your own talents, something you're educated, right? So, what do we need to know about Jenny that's different? Something that we would never know. Something cool about Jenny.
Oh my gosh! Is there anything cool about me? I don't know. God, I don't know. That is putting me on the spot. I'm not really sure.
Okay, shall I shoot you a question?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so this person asked something different, but I'm going to change it a little bit.
Okay.
What inspires you?
Being the best I can be, I think.
The best version of yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. It's because while I do modelling, I also do other things in the background. So I'm currently writing children's books and stuff, and it's more about finding outlets for your creativity. And finding inspiration in the everyday as well. And I love making vision boards, which I partly blame you for as well. Guys, make a vision board. It actually really works.
If people don't know what a vision board is, let me just show you for a second. Hang on.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Say more about vision boards.
So basically, you just find things that inspire you and that you want your life to be, and then you create a collage of pictures like this.
Okay, I'm not going to show it for too long.
It's amazing. But the thing is, it's incredible when you make one, and then about a year or so later, you look back over the last year, and you see how many things on there you've actually managed to make happen.
So hang on. So I'll let you know when I meet Gordon Ramsay, because he's here on my vision board.
Right. He might come though. You've got Opal at the St Regis. He might come.
Right.
It's amazing.
So we're curious about Jenny's vision board.
Oh my gosh.
Only the thing you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with sharing. What have you put on your vision board that has already started manifesting and coming true?
Well, back in February when I made it, I put a lot of travel on my vision board, and since I did that, I've been to Sri Lanka, obviously here, and then I was back in the UK. Then I went to Bangkok, Singapore, back to the UK again, Spain, Portugal, here, and then I'm going to Switzerland for Christmas. So for me, that's a lot of travel that I wasn't expecting to have. But it was amazing. And then you kind of look at the board afterwards and you're like, how have I managed to create that all of this has happened without realising it at the time as well?
So a question that follows that from one of our viewers is, do you believe in the law of attraction?
I do.
You do?
I am a big believer in the law of attraction.
Okay.
More that I think if you put the good things out there and positive things out to people, you'll get that back to yourself. Because I've noticed in particular, if you're really nice and happy and positive towards people, if someone's in a bad mood, they're then likely to be happier, and then that passes on to someone else.
It will rub off.
You see that,
right. Okay, like a butterfly effect somehow. Exactly. For me personally, I don't believe in the law of attraction, the traditional way of the law of attraction. Rather, I believe in putting effort into things, and obviously because I have spiritual values, such as I believe that everything happens for a reason according to Allah, or God, however you want to call it. So I believe that it's going to happen anyway, and if you put your effort into it and you make a good intention, it's likely to happen. So it doesn't mean, in my opinion, I've made a vision board, it doesn't mean that everything I stick on there is going to come true because I'm all powerful.
And it doesn't mean you just sit back and be like, hey, I can now that's just going to happen.
Now I'm going to go to Bangkok. No, not like that. I just believe that you put your effort into something. If it doesn't happen, no problem, but at least you can aspire to. You can aspire to put it down. You can say that you want to meet certain people or reach certain goals or targets or successes according to your wants and desires. I believe that if you put it out there, then you're more likely to work towards it.
Exactly.
From a biological, they say from a chemistry or biological perspective, they say it's part of your reticular activating system that we all have in our brain.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
right?
I do remember.
Okay, so the idea is that if you say, I'm going to be strong and passionate and confident, even if you're not, if you're a bit, shy or whatever, the more that you tell yourself that, the more that your brain will seek out actions that align with...
It's almost like a fake it till you make it kind of idea, except it actually becomes a part of you.
Eventually,
and it becomes your natural habit of reaction of how you respond to
or like programs,
situations.
like you said, the habits...
It's like a rewiring.
Yeah, rewiring. I like that. So how many of you at home, watching or live or whatever, have something in your mind that you need to rewire? Have a think about it. And we will too. We're going to wrap up now. Thank you so much, Jenny, for
thank you
being
so much
on the
for
show.
having me.
I hope you liked it.
I did. I love that game as well. That was so good.
So everyone, please tune in next Saturday to iHeart Doha podcast. We're going to be live again at 1 p.m. next Saturday, which I believe is the 3rd of November. Am I correct? Yes. 3rd of November. I won't be here because I'm speaking at TEDx, and I love to say so. So whoever who wants to buy their tickets, they can visit TEDxQU, their website, or on the Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in, and looking forward to see you again soon.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Bye, Jenny. Bye, everyone.
Bye.